let me introduce myself real quick. So I'm Lisa Bingley, high performance coach, real estate mindset coach, and I've been a realtor for I'm coming up on 9 years now. So yeah, love the job, love the service, and love to make money. So I love to teach other people how to make money as well. We are going to jump right in. And if you asked a question, let's see, we have Emily on here. Emily, are you ready to ask? Hello, Emily. Okay, so Emily's question was, what's the best way to develop seller leads? Do you work with content attraction marketing or cold calling? All right, go ahead and unmute, Emily.
Hey, sorry, I'm in my car, so it's a little bit of a squeeze, but hello.
That's all right. Do we want to wait and come back to you so you don't get in an accident?
That would probably be better. Yeah, put me further down on the list. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that. That's much safer. Okay, let's see what else we got. Stephanie's on here. No questions. Alicia, did she show up? I don't see her. Okay, who else has a question? Who else wants to be coached today? Throat's like not great. Oh, get somebody else drop it in. Anybody? Struggles, plans, planning. Come on, you got me. Now's the time to ask, guys.
You can go with my question. I don't know that I'll be super entertaining on video here, but we can try.
Okay.
My first time on the Zoom, so I don't know what to expect or how you run things.
Oh, gotcha. This is just conversation. So you tell me. So what's the way to best way to develop seller leads? So where do you feel like you're struggling? There's a lot of best.
I feel like I'm doing a lot of different things. So I have like a website, and sometimes I blog. I have a YouTube channel, and I have actually my best success with that has been on buyer leads that are relocating. You know, like I'll do a neighborhood profile, like 5 great things about living in this part of town, and then people will call me off of that. So I've had good results with buyer leads.
Okay.
And I guess for seller leads this year, it's been mostly my sphere of influence, which is great, but I also feel like it's not totally scalable. So I think I'm just sort of at, you know, like I've tried 20 different things, and 5 things maybe have percolated to the top to be where most of my leads are coming from. But it's definitely slanted toward buyers, and I'm just wondering if there's a way to have similar success with seller type stuff.
Okay, so when you're attracting those buyers, are they first-time buyers or relocating buyers so they don't have something to sell?
Correct. They're relocating buyers.
They're relocating buyers. Okay. So the content that you are creating, is that because it sounds like you're attracting buyers through the content you're creating, is that geared toward people that are relocating?
Absolutely. Yes. It's like, hey, you have never heard of my city, or you're moving to my city and you don't know what to expect. Like, here you go. It's definitely tailored exactly toward that niche.
Okay. Do you like creating content?
Yes, I like it a lot.
Okay. So is there a way for you to be able to create content that would be geared toward people that are like moving up in their home purchase? So they already have something existing, but they may be moving to something more expensive or different areas?
Yes, I mean, I definitely could do that, but I think it tends to be more of like a boring talking head style video or blog, and I just don't necessarily think that's the way people go about researching it. I think that buyers, you know, when they're relocating, they're very hungry for glimpses of the city, and what, like, it's a research heavy period. They're like, oh, let me binge watch on figuring this stuff out. But for sellers, I feel like and maybe this is incorrect, but I feel like their vibe is more, you know, further out, further along. They're kind of finding a realtor rather than finding information about the process. So I don't know what that means. Maybe it means postcards, maybe it means networking or, you know, referral based stuff. I've only been in the business for about 2 or 3 years, and so I'm still getting my sea legs under me. I guess you did great starting from the beginning from what I understand. So I'd love to hear kind of how you maybe put those systems in place for yourself.
Together. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned a couple of things which were really positive, and I'll tell you what the way I attack it. You mentioned a
Okay.
couple things that were positive, that you're trying multiple things, and then you had like 5 things that percolated to the top. Okay. During different times of our market, during different periods, whatever's going on in our market, different things are going to work. So where I find agents tend to struggle is they put all their eggs in one basket. I'm just going to mail to everybody, or, you know, whatever their method is, they put all the eggs in that one basket. Now, some stuff may percolate to the top at that point, but if you really want to expand your business and explode your business, you're going to take all these 12 different methods and you're going to use all of them. And you may hit some harder at some points than others, depending on what's going on in the market, but you're still going to have so many more things in your arsenal. So right now you have an amazing base of things in your arsenal that are working. Now it sounds like you just want to move outside buyers and you want to move on to more sellers, or you want to add sellers, not move on, but you want to add sellers to your base of business, correct? We're not.
Yeah. And I feel like there's sort of a, I guess I would call, feeling of complexity situation happening too, because it's a little bit like, you know, when I'm doing a webinar, I can't also be going around town filming things, and then I can't also be like spending 3 hours on the phone cold calling, and I, you know, making it like, it's just sort of, there's so many things that I feel sometimes like running around with a chicken with my head cut off, and that creates that roller coaster of like, well, I'm busy with a transaction, I can't keep my lead flow coming in.
Right. Okay. So the other thing about lead flow is it has to be sustainable. So so even when it comes to things that cost us money, if it's not sustainable, then it's not something you should be doing. Right. So same thing goes with our time. So I'll give you a couple. You have so many options, and it sounds like you're really thinking through, like, I could do this and I could do this, and you do have some ideas. I want to open your mind to first one thing. Don't pigeonhole yourself for if you love video, because it sounds like you love video and you're good at it because you are bringing people in. So give yourself some space to think, okay, if I was a potential seller, remember, a potential seller is also going to buy. So it's just a different caliber of buyer. So instead of, you know what I mean? Like, you can still do videos to give them information about selling, but you can also give them information about what it looks like to move up, what it looks like to sell a house and buy a house at the same time. And how do you coordinate those things? How do you make it a less stressful situation? So there's still great information you can provide that's not boring, that may be Googled, right? That somebody may be looking up. So there's that, and just give yourself space, like, okay, because you're looking at them like, oh, but they're a seller. But guess what? They're also a buyer.
Okay, good point.
Right? Because you kept saying, but they're a seller. I want to target a seller. I want to target a seller. So when I find a buyer, my favorite thing is that buyer has something to sell.
Yes.
Yeah. So where does that seller, what do you want to target? Who do you want to target? And what are they going to want help with? Or what questions are they going to have? Or, you know what I mean? What might be stressful for them in the situation? So I know often I get the question of, how do we coordinate selling and buying? That's a huge question that people ask all the time. It's a stressor. Can I sell and buy? Can I sell when the interest rates are high? How do I buy? What does that look like? And answering some of those questions. And they don't have to be long videos. Nobody wants an hour tutorial on that, but they may want a 15-minute tutorial or a 10-minute tutorial on that. Right. Okay. So that's one of the options. So the other thing is, I would definitely go through what's working for you and what you enjoy, because we don't want to tell ourselves, I should be door knocking, I should be sending mailers, I should be doing this. Well, you really shouldn't. You choose to do what you like. So for me, the way that I helped to explode my business was in service. So I would find any way possible I could give service, get out in the community, help people, because when I did that, I got my name out there. I lived in a place that I'd moved to. I didn't have a sphere of influence. So the whole use your sphere of influence was garbage to me. I didn't have one. So it was, how do I create one? How do I just get known, right? How do I go help people and make some relationships? So then you naturally have people gravitate towards you at that point. Part of that also is I did so much preparation when I would go out into the marketplace, I prepared so much ahead of time in understanding what was going on in the market, what the rates were. I mean, at that point, the rates weren't going crazy because it was 9 years ago, right? But I prepared, how long houses were on the market, what homes were on the market, what areas had what different things. I just did so much research that when I then did go do some community service or worked at the middle school with my children's teachers and all the stuff, if someone had a question about a property or someone had a question about the process, I could answer that. So where realtors love to go wrong is I have a license, I can sell a house. Can I sell your house? That's always the question, right? I can list your house for you. Yeah, well, so can every other hundreds of thousands of realtor just throw a sign in the yard and not do anything else. That's why people hate realtors, because they don't feel like we work for our money. People love to pay me. People will pay me sometimes more than what I actually charge them. I've had that happen multiple times because they're like, the value is huge. All right. So preparing yourself. So I know that's kind of a lot of things, but name what works. Name what works. And then the other thing, because you've been in business for 2 to 3 years, where has your business been coming from? That's so important. So you said it isn't coming from your sphere, right? But have you sourced every single closing that you've had and every single lead? Do you know where they're from?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I always ask people and I write it down. So I do
Perfect.
have like a list of transaction by transaction. But, and
Okay.
you're right. It's not like they're all coming from one thing. It's like one came from door knocking, one came from an
Yeah.
open house, one came from this, one came from that. So it is a little bit hard to double down and scale when it's like, oh, just keep doing the 12 different things.
Well, and I mean, you can still double down on the thing that you love.
Okay.
That's because that's where you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to have the most energy to do it. But if you
Yes.
were to ask me to door knock, I would not leave my house. I'd be like, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to door knock. I've never door knocked. It's not my jam. Right. But if you find someone in the middle of winter who needs their sidewalk shoveled, game on, I'm your gal. I'll go shovel your sidewalk. I get to meet that person. Right? And it's a more human connection. So it's just
Okay, so you're not even like volunteering at Rotary. You're just going to individual people like that?
sometimes. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
volunteer at Rotary. If there's community events, I used to put on the very first thing that I did when I moved to this town and I got my license was I created a fundraiser for their middle school. They didn't have a really good fundraiser. And I was like, I could do an amazing fundraiser. Let's throw a great party. We'll do this thing. It would be so awesome. And so then I gathered all the parents together to volunteer. Well, so I started creating relationships. They knew who I was. My name is on my car, so I don't have to tell everyone all the time, because every time I pull up to the school, everybody knows who I am, what I do. So I don't have to put it in their face, but then they're able to interact with me. Right? And once they can interact with me, they know who I am. They feel comfortable with me. Then when they have a question about real estate or someone's getting divorced or something's going on, they feel comfortable coming to me and asking a question and asking for help. So that's the planting seeds part. That's not immediate. Now, if I want something immediate, give me a for sale by owner, I will call them. If I drive down the road and I see a for sale by owner sign, pull over the car, take a picture. I mean, I have a process, but I literally will do some research sitting in my car on the side of the road to see what they have, what they've got it priced at, if I know what it should be priced at. I mean, just all the information, right? So I do a quick CMA. I used to do it on my tablet. I couldn't even afford a computer. I didn't have a laptop for the first year of my business. So I would just literally take out my iPad and I would pull up some comps and then I would call them. And I'd say, hey, just check in to see what you have, right? Like, what do you have for sale? Because usually their sign doesn't say much. And half the time they don't have it on Zillow. And then I could start to have a conversation, ask if I could come take a look at the house. I don't say that I have a buyer. I just want to say, can I come take a look at what you have for sale? So sure. So that I usually go in, then I can meet them. Then we can have some more conversation and I can start to understand what's going on in your life. What's happening for them? Why are they selling? What's their time frame? How's their experience been so far? And while I'm talking to them, I'm listening. I'm not just talking and I'm not pitching. I am listening to find out what is going on in their life and how can I best help them? is this someone I can help? Is it not someone I can help? And then if it's someone I can help, then I say, I can help you. Like, if you'd like some help, this is how I can help you. And then
Okay.
they can say yes or no. And if they say no, it's like, okay, if you end up needing me in the future, give me a call. And if you don't, that's okay. Right. And it's so genuine because it's true. It's so true that here's this person attempting to sell something by themselves and they don't know what they're doing. And they're maybe crunched for time, or maybe their parents died, or maybe, right? Something's going on. So I know we just went like this huge circle, but I just want you to like open up. What do you love to do? Because you will have more energy to get out of the bed in the morning to go do those things, and you will perform them better than doing something you're not actually interested in. Right? The
Yes.
second part of this is, sorry, take all of your past clients, all your past closings and clients, even if they're current clients, and tally mark them. So do like, your door knocking and you're like, whatever, where are they coming from, and make tally marks and see where it's balanced, see where it's heavy, see where your stuff really is coming from. Cause we have an idea a lot of times. I had one of my agents, and she was like, I can't get rid of my Zillow leads because all my business is coming from my Zillow leads. And I said, okay, did you tally up your leads yet? And your closings? And she's like, well, no. Okay, great. Go tally them up. So she literally tally marked. She had 3 out of her 40 or 35 that she had closed in the year. 3 were from Zillow. And her panic was that if she got rid of Zillow, her business would die. She's like, oh, that's not even where all my business is coming from. Right. So we have to know, where is that coming from? And now we know where to double down. And is that something we like to do?
Okay. Yeah. Very good. That makes sense.
Does that help?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. You're welcome. You are welcome. Okay. Good question. That's a good question. Who else has a question today? Realtor Mary, anybody? It's fair game. Did you argue with your husband? I can help you with that too.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Jill.
How are you?
I am great. I'm like half alive, but I'm great. So good.
So I have a question regarding farming. I got
Okay.
a list from one of my title agencies, and they gave me all the email addresses.
Okay.
So putting that into HomeBots and then sending a letter, is that like sending an email ahead of time letting them know that HomeBot will be coming? Is that something that would be good to do?
Okay. So I
Or
wouldn't put them directly into HomeBot because you haven't asked their permission.
okay.
So they do need to opt in to something like
Okay.
that. You can't just add them into it. So what that would look like is more of a few email sequence, right, up front to warm them, date them a little bit before you take them to the altar. All right.
Okay.
So send them a few emails that just says, hey, I noticed you're a homeowner, or whatever. I noticed, because that's weird words, but essentially you want to acknowledge that they own a property, that they own a home, and you have this amazing program that can be able to give them their value. They can watch the market trends. They can see what's going on. Things are crazy out there. Give a little explanation, right? Rates are high. Prices are kind of going wacky. So if you'd like to just follow along every month, my voice today, if you'd like to just follow along every month and see what your value is doing, I can send you an email once a month with your value and the current interest rate. And then I kind of give the whole like shebang. Now, Jill, you are in the academy. So if you go into Kickstart module 10,
Okay.
you will find a Word doc of an email that I send out to explain and propose people getting on HomeBot. Okay.
Okay.
Or this program. And I don't know if I even tell them what it's called, but there's a bit of a process that I kind of baby step them through to pitch it to them.
Okay.
Okay. So I would do that and then ask them to just reply back and say yes. If you're interested in being on this, if you're interested in the information, just reply back and say yes, and I will get you added.
Okay.
And then what you're going to have to do is make sure that if they do say yes, you're getting them off your list, because you want to email those people again, right? You want to email them again and say, you know, I didn't know if you got my last email, and then kind of restate it again. This is what it
Okay.
is. And just do it the next week. And then go again and go again. So I would do that with the email addresses until they block you.
Okay.
I mean, block, you know, I'm like, yeah, like with my emails, I'm like, if you don't want to ask the coach and if you don't want to learn from me, just unsubscribe. Like, but if you're here and you want to learn something, I'm here to teach you. So if you don't want me, get rid of me. Sounds good. What's HomeBot and what's the benefit of it? Realtor Mary says, hello, Realtor Mary. HomeBot is an automated value system, but it's pretty cool. Go to homebot.ai. I swear they need to pay me, because I think we talk about this every episode. But homebot.ai, it is an auto email that will go out to your clients, homeowners, once a month, that will tell them what their mortgage balance is, what their current interest rate is, what the market interest rate is, what they could Airbnb their house for. It's got all this really fun data. And if they were to refinance, they could save this much money, how much equity they have. It's a very beautiful format. And I really, my clients love it. I think I had, when I sent out my initial email to people that I knew and past clients, I only had a few that said, no, I don't want people to have my email address, the system, right? They were usually people that stress out about having their private information out there. Everybody else loves it. It's an 87% open rate for me. And again, it just goes out once a month. The really cool thing, and this is why I use this, the cool thing is that it advertises you. So it's branded with your information. It's branded with your logo, your phone number, your email. If they hit reply to that email that comes out to them, it goes directly to you. So there's not like a third party in the middle of that. And then you can hit reply back to them. So it's very easy to connect with your clients. So the way that I like to use that is, number one, always on your past clients. So if you're not using it for your past clients, you need to. The second thing is anybody that's a potential seller, anyone who's a homeowner. This gives you really great opportunity to provide some value to people. And then you're marketing, you're in front of them once a month, always, right? So then when something happens in their life, they're like, they remember your name, your face. I put my picture on there. And then they know who to come back to ask questions to, because you're providing value. So that's what I use HomeBot for. It's great. They love it. Yeah, it is awesome. It's a really great tool. So that's part of my 3-2-1-12 follow-up plan. That's the 12 part, where I stay in front of people every single month. I don't do regular mailing. I don't mail magazines. I don't want them. So anytime I'm like, you know, we get pitched so much stuff in the marketplace, and, you know, oh, there's this cute thing and all these pop buys and all these things that you can be able to do. And you're going to, like, number one, use all your time. Number two, use all your money. And number three, do they really want it? Like, truly, do they want a magazine with your face on it? That's awkward. I think I wouldn't want that. Or just more postcards that they're just going to throw away anyway. So anytime I'm going to do some sort of marketing, I'm always looking at the value that I'm providing. And if it doesn't have a great value, I won't do it. That's just been my rule of thumb with what I do. So awesome. Who else has a question? We had some other good questions and the people didn't show. And I'll tell you, we got to make time for ourselves. So if you're listening and you love to sign up for things but never show up, not really surprised why you're not making progress in your business. Just so you know. Let's see, Liz isn't on here. Alicia's not on here. Does anybody else want to be coached today? Go ahead, Emily.
Do you do anything with client events or other stuff, just in the way of, you know, following up with your past clients and sphere? Do you feel like that's a worthwhile thing to do? Some of these, you know, pumpkin pie video giveaways or Christmas parties or things like that?
So I don't have time to go to those myself. especially when we have kids and kids have activities and it's like another thing. So I don't do events. Would it be fun? Here's the thing. It would be fun for the people who could show up. But if I have 250 past clients, how many of my past clients could really show up to an event? So then I'm not really impacting all of them necessarily. And then it's costing me money and it's taking me a lot of time. And I don't have that, because when you scale and you're going to sell more properties, you really don't have time to do a lot of fluffy things. So, I do keep in touch with my clients 3 times a year. I do send them gifts. I have a whole method for that. That's in my follow-up playbook. That's what I do. So I am I call it spoiling my past clients, but I'm not doing it in a way that they have to take more time out to come do something with me, because it's not about me.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So you're trying to do time efficient things, it sounds like, where
Oh,
you're
heck yeah. Yeah.
showing them that they're remembered, but not.
Yes.
Yeah. And here in Seattle, I feel like people don't even like, it's called the Seattle freeze. Like, people aren't very friendly. They don't like to go to events. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I don't want to. I mean, I got kids. My kids do all the sports. Like, we're already out 3 times a week for sports. Usually I got to go to cross country tonight. I mean, so add another thing onto my plate. I'm like, I just don't even want to. Like, that's just me. But people are busy. They have a lot of things going on. So really the people now, if you're going to do some sort of event, it's kind of like getting free hot dogs from RC Willie. I used to get free hot dogs from RC Willie when I was a stay-at-home mom and I had nothing to do. And I'd take my kids to RC Willie and we'd go shop for furniture and we'd get free hot dogs. Depends on your demographic. If you are trying to pull together some first-time home buyers that are like, oh, I'll take free food any day, then great, have a taco truck or whatever that might be, right? It depends on your goal. But if your goal is just to make your clients feel loved, you can make them feel loved without taking more of their time. Just my opinion, maybe unpopular, but that's okay. It works very well. Works very, very well. So my, well enough that I can't get people to stop calling me. That's how well it works. Some weeks I'm like, please, no one call me. And I, like clockwork, will have 2 to 3 phone calls for new listings and buyers every single week. But most of the time, they're just from repeat clients. And that's been happening for 5 out of my 9 years. It's so consistent. I don't market. The only marketing I do is to my past clients.
That's fantastic. That's a great place to get to.
Yeah, it is. Well, and honestly, I know it's a great problem to have. Some people are like, stop complaining, Lisa. And I'm like, yeah, but if you had to list 3 to 4 properties every week, you would eventually get tired too. So, it's kind of what happens. My methods aren't like mainstream popular, I guess I would say, because I'm teaching agents to build an actual business. And when I say that in real estate, what the number one question I get and ask a coach when people submit questions is lead generation, consistent leads, right? And that's great. And we need to know, or we need to find the ways to be able to generate leads. But I am teaching you to generate leads in a way that you will not always be looking for leads. That you should, within 3 years of your business, be functioning like mostly off of just repeat and referral business. But you've built that base of business. You've performed in an amazing way. The way that you do your job is amazing, right? You're top tier. People will love you. And you have stellar follow-up with your past clients. So once you have all of those components, then you're building much like a dentist. Much like a doctor. Like, try to get into a doctor right now. They're all full because they have enough patients that continue to come back to them, right? But yet our national average of repeat and referral business combined is 37%. So we have so many agents where their goal is to just lead generate, make the paycheck, take the paycheck, and move on. And no one is really harnessing their book of business, the people that they're serving. So those are the ones when they perform like crap, or they don't care if their client's pissed off, or they don't sacrifice anything to fix a problem. because to them, they just want to get to the goal, push them to close and get their money. But then they're always trying to find more business. That's not the way that I work.
Can you talk a little bit about your program? And I'm sorry, it sounds like maybe some people are already in it and I'm not. I just saw you this week for the first time, but can you give me an idea of what that trajectory looks like to you as far as sort of beginning, middle, and advanced? It sounds like, you know, in the advanced phase, maybe you're coasting, people call you and you just sort of implement your systems, and it's,
Yeah.
you're in that place we all want to get to. But what kind of time or money or, you know, 12 different
Yeah. What does
flavors
that
of marketing or whatever it is,
look like?
what do you suggest
Yeah.
for the
Yeah. So, so my academy, it consists of all of my trainings. So my business plan, that's the first thing that you have in there is my business plan. That's my Kickstart Business Growth. You can actually buy it separate for $9.97 if you wanted. But as I started to train agents, I was repeating myself over and over and over again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am repeating myself over and over. And but the things I would teach those agents that would come into our office, they would take them if they would listen. Okay. It is so simple. It is not complicated. But if they would listen and they would follow what I was telling them to do, they literally, I've got guys that were making 30,000 a year that are making 200,000 a year. Like within, I mean, plow through the program, like, and just be able to just take it and run. Right. So that's the foundation that everybody usually will go through. Okay. If you've been in business for 10 years, even if you've been in business for 10 years, you probably have pieces missing if you haven't built that business in a 10-year time frame. So Kickstart Business Growth. Also inside the academy is my Supercharge program. That is like leveling up. That is really diving in deeper to listing mastery, buyer mastery, market mastery. That's a lot more of the high performance coaching added into what it is that I'm teaching you. Okay. Then I coach you every week. So we have this week, we talked about how to land and retain a listing. That was just a topic. So I coach live every single Wednesday inside the academy because the market changes. So we have to change. Right. So you really have, it's everything that you need. You have everything recorded in case you need to go back and you need the follow-up playbook, or you want to market to renters, you need to know how to do that. Or you want to do Facebook ads, you need to know how to do that. All of that information is recorded training. So you can go to whatever it is that you want to work on, whatever floats your boat. Like you go and you can do that training and you can be able to take off and implement. But then every week we have live training, and we do that because things change, or we get discouraged, or we can get overloaded because I had one gal this week. She's like, I've got several listings and now I'm tired. Okay, now we're going to work on efficiency of our time. And what does that look like? Right? That's more into our high performance. So sometimes we have mindset issues. So we're coaching on mindset issues. It just depends on where you're at in your business. So I come to whatever your level is or whatever your need is inside the program, because you all are so individual. You're so individual. Everybody's got a different problem. You're like, I'm great on video. And some people are going to be like, I don't even know how to do video, or I'm afraid to do video. So everybody's a different place. So it's catered to where you're at and what you need to do to grow. That's how I coach. I do not believe there's one way, just like we talked about. So I'm not the YouTube person. I'm not the Facebook person. I'm not the Instagram person. I'm not any of those people. I'm the high performance coach that's going to expect more out of you. But I've also got over 700 transactions of experience under my belt. So we can coach through anything that anybody has questions with or needs help with. So and price, I guess you were asking that too. So it is right now, it is still lifetime membership. So it's $3,000 or $279 a month. And once you've paid 12 payments, you're in for lifetime. So you will always have access to trainings. You will always have access to a live coach. That's the cost of the program. If you go to agentleader.com and you go watch my masterclass, How to Make Six Figures in Real Estate, you will have one opportunity to get a killer discount on the program. One. It gives you 4 days. So that's what I would say. There's no time like today to get coaching's amazing. Coach, have you ever had a coach before?
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah. What kind of coach?
I had a Tom Ferry coach.
Okay. I've had some people that have come to me from there as well. So a little bit different because I'm not going to regurgitate anything. The skills that I have in coaching are totally different than what's in the marketplace. And I'm paid to push you. Really. I'm paid to push you. So I've had my greatest lately. I had a gal come to me. She's 78 Zillow leads and no conversions. And she came within 3 weeks with 3 sessions. Within 3 weeks, she had 4 under contract. And she'd gone 6
Wow.
months. Yeah, because it was something very specific with her that we needed to tweak. Right? A little bit of mindset coaching, a little bit of tactical coaching. So we cover both. I cover both inside the academy. Yeah.
Okay, super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Glad you found me. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we got a little bit of time. If anybody else has any questions or would like some coaching today, now's the time. I literally lifted weights. Anyway, I hurt my shoulder. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I getting old? That was dumb. I feel like a little bit of garbage today. Okay. Anybody else want to be coached today? You all just wanted to listen.
Good morning, Lisa.
Oh, we had somebody speak up. All right. Kudos. Who's talking? Alejandro. Hello.
Hello. Could you talk a little bit more on your follow-up?
What I do. So be more specific. Follow up with past clients, follow up with
past
leads,
clients?
with past
Yeah.
clients. Okay. So with my past clients, my process with my past clients is as soon as I close a file, I'll give you just my whole spiel, but as soon as I close out a file, we take that file, I wait a couple days, then we will send them a request. I've been using my request through Rate My Agent because they populate out to 3 different places. So I'll send a request to Rate My Agent for a review. It's also a very low barrier to entry for them to do a review on Rate My Agent. So that's been my favorite and most successful lately. So send that out for a review. Then we also take them, put them in my database. So I keep my database in 2 places in case something crashes. So put them in my database and then we add them to HomeBot at that point because now they're a homeowner. So we will add them to HomeBot automatically. And then they just go in my cupboard. Now, beyond that, 3 times a year, we're just getting ready here for our winter gift. But 3 times a year, I send my clients gifts and a card. And it's fun. And 2 of them are branded. 1 of them is not branded. Because Christmas, no one wants a branded gift. I remember the best comment I had from someone who hired me to sell their house. And I said, who did you use to buy it? And then they told me the agent. And I said, oh, okay, yeah, I knew that person. And I said, how come you didn't use them again? And they said, well, because it came closing day and he walked into the closing room and his gift he gave to us was a thank you card with 7 business cards in it. And I was, yeah, 7 business cards. I was like, wow, that's ballsy. So they were totally put off because again, it's like, here, you just gave me something. Now give me something more. So, yeah, so that really stuck in my head where I'm like, yeah, people don't want that, right? People don't want more marketing. They want to feel loved. So, so I don't brand my Christmas gifts that I send to people. So I have a whole method where literally just 3 times a year, we have this whole packaging system and I've got great examples of what we send out. It changes every year, something fun, with a unique card. I have someone create a card for me. And I will just keep in touch with my clients that 3 times a year. And then I keep them on HomeBot. And that's my entire follow-up system with all of my past clients. And I will tell you, even just this last month, I had a client that I closed, 6 years ago, I think, 5 years ago. It's been a while. Have not talked to him since we closed. And we didn't even have like that much of a relationship because he came from out of state. I showed him the house once. He bought the house. It was a very simple, easy transaction. We closed. I never saw him again. Okay. So usually you would not have repeat business off of that. But it was time for him to move again, and he gets my home bot. So guess who gives me a phone call? Because he remembers my name, and he had just got my client gift too, and says, "Hey, I need to sell my house." Great. Let's go. Right? Here's your price. Here's all the things. The awesome thing about staying in touch with your past clients and having that repeat business is you don't have to go through the whole process of talking them into loving you or wanting to use you. There's no competition. So you just get to show up, do your job, pull your comps, give them the information, find out how you can best help them in the situation they're in right then, and then move forward and get it listed. So when you're like, Lisa, how could you sell 120 houses in a year? I mean, gosh, there were some weeks we put 7 and 8 listings up in 1 week, which is, we have to have a very efficient process. That's what I teach inside my Kickstart, but a very efficient process to do that. But it's also because I'm not spending all my time with fluffy, market analysis packets and buyer guides and blah, 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 all those things, because I'm focused on the people. Yeah.
And
Does
your
that help?
Do
program,
you
do
have
you
a
do,
team? Oh, sorry, Alejandro, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Alejandro.
in that process, I'm sorry, I forgot the question. Go ahead, Emily.
I'm so sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. I was just wondering, Lisa, if you have a team or like an assistant, or do you have help of buyers agents and that type of thing, or do you do this all independently?
Yeah. So now I have an assistant. I hired her after the second year that I sold 120. So I'd sold, you can go look at my stats on my
So you
website.
got there on your own.
I got there on my own. Let's just say that I didn't have a transaction coordinator. I didn't have an assistant. I would sometimes pay other agents to go show a property if I had 2 people in one day. Then some of our newer agents that maybe could use a few dollars, I'd pay them a couple $100 to go show a property. Kate, Gil, I'm going to get that question. Gil just put a really good question in here. But yeah, no, I got there on my own. But you know what's so amazing about that? And why I don't love when people come into the industry, they're selling 12 houses and they're like, I need a transaction coordinator. I'm like, what the H are you doing with all the rest of your time? Because handling 12 people is like snooze fest, right? Or you've got really crappy processes. If you can't get past 12 people, you need some more processes for what it is that you're doing to be more efficient, because 12 is nothing to me. But 12, I know I could teach you how to do that so much faster. And once you can do it so much faster and it's an easy process, number one, your confidence increases, right? So when I have better confidence because my process is amazing, now I bounce into those listing appointments and I'm like, here's the process. Here's what we're doing. Here's how it goes. Here's what your pricing is, right? And now we've increased that confidence. It comes off to them and they are more likely to convert to work with you. Does that make sense? So when we take away pieces, like the reason I don't like people to get a transaction coordinator anywhere near the beginning of their career is because you need to know how to do your own paperwork. You need to know how to answer all the phone calls. Worst thing I see is an agent comes in, writes the offer, passes everything off to the TC. You can never get a hold of the agent again, and the TC runs the show. Like, well, the TC should be making the commission because you have no idea what's going on. The second part of that is if you remove yourself, okay, now again, I'm teaching you to build a business, right? It may be efficient to have a TC and let them do all the paperwork and all the follow-up and all the, inspection requests and all that kind of stuff. But you've now removed yourself from opportunities to interact with your client. You can't build a relationship if you're not interacting with your client. And I've done this both ways, because I had back surgery last year. And for 2.5 months, I didn't drive. So I didn't go show properties. I made $50,000 a month at the time, but I didn't drive because I had my assistant going out, my husband's license, he was going out. I was sitting home writing all the contracts. You'd think it was a really great process, right? But I did not have the same connection with the clients because I wasn't there creating the relationship with them. There's a huge difference between doing those two things. So I would not go to like all the team and all the things. Sounds fancy, but you don't need it. Does that help answer your question?
Yes. Well, I think oftentimes just simple is best, right? The time you save
Yes.
by having someone do it, you have to hire them and manage them and accountability and all that.
Yeah. And honestly, when I hired my assistant, she came in and I licensed her so she could open a door if I couldn't open a door. But I would ask a client if they say, you know, I want to go see this house at this time. And if I was overlapping with another client or overlapping with one of my kids' sports, I would say to them then, you know, I'm not able to do it at that time. We can pick a different time or Kara can open the house for you. And some of them are like, yep, Kara's fine. And then some of them are like, nope, I want to wait for you. So I give them the
Okay.
option, but she, you know, so they know she's there, but she doesn't generally speak with my clients. She helps prep paperwork now. There's some things that she takes off my plate, but it's because I'm also running 2 businesses now. So I'm coaching and creating curriculum all the time, right? And helping you guys. And then I'm also still selling, you know, what have I sold so far? $380,000, I think was my last total that came in worth of real estate. I think I'm up to like 60 units or something for this year. So I'm still doing both things. So therefore she's so vital to my life right now. How do Alejandro, did you remember your question before I move on to Gil?
Yeah, as far as in your program, is it a one-on-one with you?
So when you come into my program, we do a one-on-one very first. Yes. So
Okay.
I need to get to know you, where you're at in your own business. So I actually cater the program and give you your own map for what you need. Because some people will come in, they're 10 years in the business. They're not going to need to go through all of Kickstart, but maybe specific modules if they're struggling in certain areas. So it just depends. If you're a brand new agent, right? Like then you're going to go through Kickstart because you need to know all your foundational principles of how to do this business. So it depends. Yeah. I hate wasting time. I cut through the crap. I don't want to sit and watch 50 videos if I don't need to. So I'm going to give you your own map for what you need. And we're going to identify where you might need to be able to improve, but also what's your market like? What can you harness in your own business? Because your area is different than my area. Your skills are different than mine. So we're going to cater it directly to you. So yeah, a little different there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. And my agents inside, for now, my agents inside the academy, they have options to grab a quick 20-minute session with me. So if something happens, or we've even done like property descriptions, I love doing those. But sometimes if we need help with those or a listing that's sitting, you can grab a 20-minute session with me when you're in the academy as well. So you've really got a lot of access to me, which is crazy. I should charge you like $10,000, but I don't, because I want it, you know, accessible for you. Okay, Jill, do you want to, is that Gil or Jill? Where are we?
Oh yeah, it's Gil.
It's Gil. Okay, I was right the first time. Okay, so tell me, Gil, how can you handle negative family energy? Love this question. I'm taking my test on Tuesday and I'm old and changing careers. Define old. Come on, Gil.
I just turned 54.
Oh, you can't say that's old. I'm 43. I'm coming right up on you. So we still have so much left to give. Okay, so tell me about this negative family energy. What does it look like? Give me an example.
I was in marketing for a long time as a creative, but I need to change careers, and they just don't think I can do it.
Oh, do we need them to think we can do it?
I don't think so, but when you're it is kind of like, I'll tell you what, sometimes you run up against stuff, especially, I'm learning a lot. There's like a lot of information, and sometimes I'll get stuck or frustrated. And that's when those voices start to come in, like you're too, you can't do it, stuff like that.
Okay. So there's 2 pieces to this. Okay. So the first thing is, it's very natural for us to want other people to approve of the thing that we're doing, or we would really love to have their support, right? We would love if they were like, yes, you can do this. You're going to be so amazing. And we support you all the way. We're your family. And that's what we would really love to have, right? And there's nothing wrong with wanting to have that. However, we don't get to control their emotions and their thoughts that they're having. So here's what I want you to think about. Okay. They are having their experience with this change because you're changing careers, and it may mean something different to them. It may mean that they're a little bit stressed out about it. Maybe they're fearful that you might fail, and they don't want you to get your feelings hurt. They don't want you to feel bad. So maybe it's kind of a fear, but it's not, it's out of love, right? Or maybe they wouldn't be able to do it themselves. So it's hard for them to envision how you can do it. But what happens is, whatever it is that they're thinking, you're looking at it like they're not supporting me. It's the negative energy. You're looking at it as negative energy. And I want you to kind of open up the way that you look at it a little bit as giving them the space to really just feel their own feelings and have their own thoughts about it. But you can also have your own feelings and thoughts about it as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's actually, I like that advice because it just allows me to recognize them as people too.
Yeah.
I mean, if I get nervous of something, maybe they're nervous about something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just told my husband last night that I'm going to quit selling real estate for 3 months. And I was like, so how we doing? How you feeling? What do you think about this? Right. And because I wanted to just double down on my coaching business, and I only have so many hours in a day. And I was fully prepared for him to have his own set of emotions. But I don't need him to tell me it's okay for me to do it. So if you feel like you need them to say yes, I would ask yourself, why do I need them to say yes? And sometimes we need them to say yes, or to give us their blessing, right? Or to be positive about it, because we are taking on their emotions. So if they're negative, we feel like we have to take that negativity, or like we don't have a choice but to take the negativity. But you do. And the way that we have that choice is by looking at the situation. And if they're negative, instead of saying that means I'm doing something wrong, or, that's affecting me, it doesn't have to affect you. You get really good at being emotionally in control. And what that looks like is, okay, like they're just having their emotions, and maybe they're feeling this, and maybe they're stressed out, and maybe they're just worried about me. Maybe, or maybe they just don't believe in me doing this, but I don't need them to, because that's the way that they think.
I have to
Right.
build my confidence, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
if I'm
and-
doubtful and they're just going to throw kind of a wedge into that crack of doubt. So I just got to be, what's the word? Vigilant.
Yeah, vigilant. And that wedge doesn't have to be like, you don't have to allow the wedge. So even if you're having a day when you are discouraged, because you will, by the way, we all have them. So if you have the day when you're discouraged and then they come to you with negativity, I literally am like, you can keep your own emotions for the moment, because I'm dealing with my emotions right now, and they can just hang on to theirs. I don't need them. I mean, it's almost like a physical, like, talk with myself sometimes, like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I don't need them to be positive for me to be positive. It's a place of power. Let me just tell you right now, it's a place of power. And the more you practice it, the better you become. And then it doesn't mean that you don't ever hear negativity. And it also doesn't mean that you don't get discouraged. But when you get discouraged, you just get up faster. It's having that moment of like, shoot, I'm this old and I'm changing careers and this is hard. Okay. Like, it is. And I can be amazing at it. And I'm going to put my next foot forward. And what's the next right action of integrity for me tomorrow? What am I going to do now? That is the only difference, you guys, between those that succeed and those that tend to give up on things, is literally not that they don't experience that same negativity, not that they don't experience the same insecurities, the same low self-confidence sometimes. It's not any of those things. It's that once they do, they get up faster. They don't sit in it for as long. They allow it for a moment. And then you get up and you're like, okay, but what's next? I felt it. Great. What's next? And then you move on faster. So I have
Thank
no
you.
doubt. You're welcome. Yeah, no, you'll do amazing. You want to do it. If that's what you want, dude, there is no, look at me. I'm like reinventing and I'm in my 40s and I'm like, okay, how many years am I going to do this? Right. Sometimes I think that too, like, how many years am I going to do this? Well, you know, I reinvented and made $1 million. So may as well reinvent some more and keep on going. So, and I'm running for mayor. What? Like, why not? Let's go. Okay. Emily has a question. How much cold calling or outbound calling do I recommend? Emily, do you want to unmute for us by chance? So much easier if I can coach you if you talk with me.
Hi. Yes, sorry about that.
That's okay. Okay. So how much cold calling and outbound calling do I recommend? As much as you want to do, as long as it is fruitful and it has to have purpose and value. So outbound calling, if you like grab a cold calling list and you're randomly calling people to find out if they're interested in selling their houses, I wouldn't recommend that unless you really love to be rejected. Don't know. If you are taking maybe a program where it can niche down people that are most likely to move. So you take like a whole neighborhood and then you're going to get the 40 people that are most likely to move. Then I would call them, but I would call them with some sort of information and value at that point that says, hey, this is what's going on in the neighborhood, or this is what's going on in the market. And, you know, if this is something that you're interested in, I'm here to give you more information or something like that. It just has to have.
So I mean, I think so the way that I've done it before, it was, you know, like around an open house, or if I have a listing, like go to the title company, get your 250 neighbors and like call them all and invite them to the open house. And I've done other ways where like I have buyers who are interested in buying a house in a certain neighborhood. So I do the same thing and I just call, but basically it's just, you know, it's about 1 minute per call is my, like if I'm calling 60 people, that will take an hour and it seems time consuming, but I have gotten deals that way. And so
Okay.
I guess I'm going back to my original question, I think, of marketing pillars and the things that have worked for me in the past and trying to identify where to go with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. Well, and that was going to be my question. Does it work for you? Are you converting people? I've had some people that make phone calls and they're not getting any sort of, nothing's coming off of it. It's not fruitful. Right. I'm like, okay, how long are you going to keep doing that before you change and do something or change your message or, you know what I mean? Tweak that or do something different. So as if it's working and it's worth your time, then make some time for it. If you want to block out an hour, then block out an hour and make the calls if that's something you like to do and if it's working.
Yeah, I don't think it's working great. And maybe it sounds like there's a follow-up question of like, what else can we do? Because I think when I got started in real estate, like that was the thing, right? Like here's everybody that has a property in your zip code, like go for it. And I don't know, like you mentioned earlier, 12 deals a year is nothing. And that's about where I am. And that's about where I have been.
Okay. It's not nothing. I'm so sorry I said that.
No, that's okay. But you're right. I feel like I could do more, but I'm spending, like I'm doing it full time, right? Like 8 in the morning till 6 at night. I'm doing something, but I probably am not doing the right things or the most time efficient things.
The most time efficient things.
Everything works if you hit your head against the wall long enough, I think is the bottom line there.
Yes. Okay. So that's a really good point. And I know 12's not nothing. So I know it's not nothing. It's not something that, okay, good. I'm like, it's not something that needs a TC is what I mean. But yeah, if you're spending that much time, so here's like my hierarchy of like importance, I would say. If I was going to go do an open house, I would first look at and assess, how are you performing at the open house? What does that look like? What do the conversations look like with people at the open house? How many of those people are you converting to work with you? That's going to be one of my first questions, because your time will be better spent preparing and showing up amazing at the open house with people in front of you that already want to buy. Those are live bodies who always want or already want to buy. That's where I would focus. What does that process look like? And how are you converting them? Are you getting put on a search? What's the conversation look like? How quickly are you getting them to work with you? That's where I would perfect myself. Is that I wouldn't perfect how many more people can I call, because that's a lottery. Like, you're going to get 100 names or 200 names, and I can't control that. I can control someone standing in front of me who's interested in buying, and I can control converting them to work with me. I can control if I call it for sale by owner, because I know they want to sell their house. I can control if there's an expired house that just came off the market because they maybe had a crappy realtor that did a junk job on their listing. I can control being able to help them and providing information. They're more likely to do something because they already raised their hand and said, I want to sell my house, right? Buyers at open houses, more likely to raise their hand because they already want to purchase. They're already interested. So then you show up as your best self with a great process for how to convert them to work with you. That's where I double down, is the people in front of me. So I've never, and when you do that, it's like what I call my high impact lead generation methods. There's so many things. I read INMAN, right? I get all the articles. It's like, here's 78 things. And then the next week, like, here's 250 lead generation ways. And I read through all of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I would never do this, or how is this even going to work? Or this isn't, I read through all of them, and I look at them to see, is there something I'm missing? But what agents tend to do is we go not customer facing, right? And so we do the mailers, we do the, the follow-up, we do the emails, we do the things that aren't conversational, that aren't customer facing. So the difference, I think, in the way I run my business is I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. So I literally will be standing at the DMV and somebody next to me is, talking about how they have a question or a problem with their property taxes, or they don't understand what their assessment means. And I will literally say, hey, like, I can help you if you have questions about your assessment. And then I'll answer their questions about their assessment. Now, do they want to sell their house? Maybe, maybe not. Right. But I just created some relationship and I provided some value, and it's customer facing. That's going to be better than randomly calling a person to say, hey, I'm doing an open house, which they're probably all going to see if they're out looking. And are they in the market to sell? Possibly. But what are the chances? I don't know. I don't have patience. I'm like, let's get to the goal faster. Let's make some money faster. Right. So I teach and do the things that are faster. What should we do? Okay, I speak words, Lisa, today. Alicia says, what should we do if calls aren't working? Stop making them. Oh, just kidding. Okay, so Alicia, there could be a couple of things. It depends on what the call is and what you're saying. And are we providing value? So if you want to unmute, I'd love to answer the question.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
So, I usually call like for sale by owners, and I'm just not really converting them.
Okay, so what are you saying when you call them? Tell me what this process looks like.
So, I get on and I ask them, if they're, obviously if they've sold it before, or if they've already sold it, or if it's under contract.
Okay.
And then I'm asking them if they're going to, if they're interested in, maybe listing the house at some point if they're unable to sell it. And then, it usually is like, no, we're not really wanting to do that. And yeah, so that's, I don't really know where to go after that, except some of the things that I've done is I've asked them, would it be a value to you if I were to maybe give you some flyers? And they're branded to me, but
okay. How long you been?
They're not interested.
Yeah. Okay. I probably wouldn't be interested either, but I will tell you why. Okay. So what the pitch that you just gave isn't different than any other agent that called them.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to come around and I'm going to answer your question, but I want to give you an example really quick. So I had a client that calls me, it was a referral to me, but they were doing the for sale by owner thing. So I went, did the walk through their house, and I gave them a bunch of information about, the market and their pricing, and if they needed to move furniture and what was going on with their situation, and start to understand their, their life and where they were at. And by the time I got done with her, gosh, I was probably there 20 minutes, 30 minutes. She said, "You have given me more information than anyone's ever given me." It's like, I really appreciate this. And I said, okay. So just out of curiosity, since you've been on the market, $650,000 house, by the way, so not cheap. I said, how many people have called you to ask if they could list your house? How many agents have called you? And she said 3. And I was like, wow, that's not very many. They were on the market for 60 days. So she'd only had 3 agent phone calls. But here was the kicker. None of them provided any value or information to her. So I have zero doubt in my mind that if she would have had someone call her and give her the same type of information that I gave her when I did my walkthrough, when I had a chance to talk to her, that she would have gone with an agent at that point. She wouldn't have needed to ask around to her friends to find out who she's supposed to call. So when I'm going to call a for sale by owner, I prepare ahead of time. And that's the first 3 listings I had, they were all for sale by owners. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, by the way. I hadn't sold a thing, but I would look up the property, and I literally use my RPR app, and I just look it up on my phone and see how many square feet it was, bedrooms, bathrooms, kind of get, an idea, look up an old listing. If there's an old listing on it, I would look up the old listing, take a look at the pictures on the inside of the house. Then I would pull some quick comps. I don't do a full CMA, but I just pull some quick comps, right? And then I get an idea. What should the value of this house be? So now when I make the phone call, okay, value and days on market. Those are 2 huge pieces that you're going to need to know. So then when I call the client, then it sounds more like a conversation of what's your experience been so far? And your house is priced great. Or, if I don't know what they're asking for it, I ask them, what are you asking for the property? And then they can tell me. And then I'll be like, you've actually underpriced it. Or you're priced right. What's your experience been so far? And then you start to open up to have more dialogue for them to feel comfortable to start telling you about themselves. And that's how you start to convert people to work with you. So they can print their own flyers. They can have any agent put a sign in their yard. I mean, it isn't hard. They can for sale by owner it, but the way that we make them feel is the thing that's going to sell them on us. Okay. So you're missing in all the things you just said. There's nothing wrong that you said, but there's zero opportunity for emotion to be attached to any of that. And to make them feel like, hey, are you having a good experience? Are you getting lots of phone calls? How have your showings been? Just ask a lot of questions for them to start to feel comfortable, like talking to you.
So
and provide value.
Is it better to do this on the phone or to schedule like a property preview?
I love to try to get in front of them. So I'll have a little bit of conversation on the phone, and then I will ask them, like, can I come take a tour through the house? I'd love to see what you have. I don't use the line, I have a client that's interested, because that's a bunch of BS and we all know it. So I just usually say, I'd love to take a tour and see, and view your home. And if they say yes, then I can make the appointment. Then they can see me face to face, which is also better for conversion.
Right.
Instead of a sales phone call. I don't like a sales phone call either, but you put a cute little kid in front of me that wants me to buy candy bars, then I probably would buy your candy bars. Right? It's the same thing with the for sale by owners or with clients in general. So, but walk into that. Here's the thing. Agents will have like a scarcity mindset where they're afraid that if I give this person all the information about what they should list for, and what they're going to sell for, and how many days they'll be on the market, and what they should do with their furniture, if I give them all that information, then it's a good possibility they're going to just take it and do it without me. And so
Mhm.
that usually stops agents from providing very much value up front because they're afraid, right? And honestly, that changes the way that we behave when we go into a situation. We start to be guarded and we don't allow ourselves to open up to have some relationship with this person. So
Right.
anytime I'm going to,
I
go ahead.
actually find myself like with anxiety going, don't screw this up. This is too important.
Oh, why is it important? Tell me about that.
Well, because I am in a new market and I don't know anyone and I don't have a sphere. So I have no transactions.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the club. I didn't have a sphere and I didn't have transactions either.
Yeah.
But what value can you provide? It doesn't, no one's going to ask you. No one asks me if I show up at a listing appointment or a for sale bound or anything. Nobody asks me how many houses I've sold.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I were to ever tell them I've tested this out, they really don't care. No one's that impressed. It doesn't mean anything to them. So you don't want to let your fear of feeling inferior, right? Like you don't have something to give.
Mm-hmm.
You have something to give. You have service to give. You master the market. You understand what's going on, what the numbers look like. You can do that without, I mean, look at analysts. They analyze crap all day
Right.
long. They don't go out and do it, right? You become a really great analyst for knowing what they should list at, how you're going to present the property, like all those great things. Those are the foundational principles that I teach, which is how to be stellar at your job, even if you've never done it yet. So that you walk into any appointment and you're confident and you're like, I can do it. This is why I can do it. And it will work. And that's all sellers want to hear from us. Honestly, they don't want to hear like, I think this, or maybe this. They are sold on confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Really big. So welcome to the industry. You don't have to have a
Thank
sphere.
you.
Yeah. You can be successful without having a sphere.
So
And you can create it.
when you meet someone, like you're saying, like at the DMV
Mhm.
and or in line at the grocery store, and you start a conversation, I mean, because you don't know them, at what point do you get their information so that you can put them into a CRM?
Okay, so I don't put people in a CRM unless I have a purpose for it.
Okay.
So I don't even have a CRM. Ha, ha, ha. So never used it. Never used it.
So your Excel sheet.
My Excel sheet. So they go in my Excel sheet when they buy something from me. They go
Oh.
in my database. I only have 2 buckets. I'm pretty sure I did an episode on this, but I only have 2 buckets where I put my clients really. And you can have 3 if you have a CRM and you do like an auto drip email campaign. But all I've done for all of my career is talk to the person and I classify that person. What are they? Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? What is their status? And what is their next step?
Mhm.
Once I classify them, if they're a seller, but they're not ready to sell right now, they go on HomeBot. Okay. And then I have, when should I follow up with them next? I keep track of them all in my client management book. This is why I have this. Okay. Or my planner has client management pages, buyers and sellers in them too. So I can keep track of the people a little easier. And I'm a paper. I like to just see it and write some notes. Anyway, so if they're a buyer, if I meet them, let's say at an open house and they're interested in purchasing, they go on a property search. That's my database. So at any given time, I usually have about 75 people, 50 to 75 people on searches.
Mhm.
And again, it's a whole process, right? This is what I teach you inside Kickstart and inside Supercharge, but it's like the conversation I have with them to get to know them so I can get them put on that search. So it's so purposeful that I'm providing the data to them that they need in order to want them to like get them to pull the trigger. When it's time, I get them to the lender. I mean, the whole thing, right? So I'm taking these people and we're doing something. The thing that I'm really bad at is people that aren't ready to do something. I will put them on a search. I've had a client before where I met them. I had a phone conversation. I didn't even see them in person. Phone conversation, talked about what they wanted, their life. I knew who they were, how many kids they had, where they were coming from, where they worked, all the things. Put them on a search for what they said they wanted. 1 year later, I had never talked to them again. Still on my phone, right? Labeled. I always highlight people like dude from Nevada is who this was. So that helped me remember who this guy was. Anyway, a year later, he's still on a search. I can still see that he opens it. He calls me and he said, there's a house you sent me. We want to take a look at it. Would you FaceTime us? Sure, I'll FaceTime you. So I go down, do the walkthrough, FaceTime him. He's like, we want to buy it. I'm like, sounds like a good plan. Get him to my lender, do the quick approval, put in the offer. That's it. Wham, bam. Now he's on my follow-up plan. I see him every now and then.
Mhm.
That's it. So I don't overcomplicate it. It's like, I don't overcomplicate it. I don't
Okay.
put them on a drip because the only people that need to go on a drip is now, which I never did this, but if you're running like Facebook ads or you're gathering emails from, an event or something like that, and it's already impersonal and you've never talked to a person, if you've never talked to them, then you can do your email drip campaign. That would be where your CRM comes in.
Mhm.
But do a drip campaign that doesn't just tell them to rake their leaves because it's fall. Like it needs to be something that's providing some value. That's where the CRM would come in. But I
Okay.
never gathered emails like that. I never ran Facebook ads. I never did any of that before. And so it wasn't my jam. But that's how I would categorize those people now, is just in your CRM. Yeah. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And welcome. Allison had a good comment. I've also used our inventory, quote unquote. Our inventory is low and I come across buyers daily or other agents with buyers. And I'd love to have your home in my knowledge bank. Okay. Yeah. And Allison, that's a great way to approach it as well. And then you can get in and be able to meet them a little bit, start to have some conversation. So the point is to get in and have some conversation. That's the point. But the conversation is, is there anything I can do to help you? Or you paying attention to how I can help them? Okay. Oh, I kept you guys on for a while today. Does anybody else have any other questions, want to be coached today before we go? You had some amazing questions today. Alicia, did you have a question?
No, I've just forgot to unmute.
Okay. Or mute yourself. Okay. All right. Well, good session today, you guys. Those are some really awesome questions. I love this stuff. Where can you join your program? Agentleader.com. And it's the academy. So you have two options. I would go for option 2, but whether you're new or you're an existing agent, the academy fits everything that you need. So that's the full Monty right there. That's where you're going to get coaching and you're going to get my program. Somebody mentioned they have Kickstart. You do not get coaching with Kickstart. That is just a go by yourself, go at your own pace program. So Crystal, if you want to email me, support@agentleader.com, I can reply to you with a code if you would like to upgrade to the academy. Then you can be able to get coaching. Otherwise, I literally charge $500 an hour, you guys, to coach with me. So you get so much value inside the academy. It's mind blowing. And yeah, we want to get you making money. Money's great. Money's fun. And it's not fun when we don't have it. It's stressful. So let's make money, even in the current situation that we're in right now in the market. So, all right. Well, I thank you guys for your time today. Thank you for coming and for being willing to ask the hard questions and be vulnerable with what you have going on with your businesses. I really appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you again. We'll see you inside the academy. All right. Have a good week.